So, I'm going away on holiday. I'm trying to film a bunch of videos in a day and edit them because for some of the days I'm not going to have Wi-Fi. I will hopefully video it, but I won't be able to upload anything there. So I'm pre-filming stuff. So if I look very similar, if I'm in similar clothes or anything, that's why. So for one of those videos, I thought I would do something which I quite enjoy, which is read some fairy tales or a fairy tale. This is a book which I brought for myself / from my nan for my 17th birthday. I went to London with my mum, I saw Wicked and Les Mis, and I also brought myself a copy of some Grimm's fairy tales because I thought those would be something to keep with me through life. I thought I'd just read one through. I know I like being read to, my mum likes being read to, so if you're down for just listening to a story for a few minutes, then stay on this video. I hope you enjoy it. The Crystal Ball. Once upon a time there was a sorceress who had 3 sons, and they loved each other like brothers, but the old woman didn't trust them and thought they wanted to steal her magic power. So she turned the eldest into an eagle, and he had to live on a mountain crag, and would often be seen circling and swooping up and down in the sky. The second son she turned into a whale, and he lived deep under the sea, where from time to time he spouted up a mighty jet of water, and that was all that could be seen of him. They were both allowed their human form for only 2 hours each day. The third son was afraid she might turn him into a bear or a wolf or some other wild animal, so he left home secretly. But he had heard that in the castle of the Golden Sun there lived a princess who was under the spell and waiting to be released from it. He had been told that anyone trying to rescue her had to risk his life, and that 23 young men had already perished miserably, and that only one more attempt was to be allowed. But since his heart was fearless, he resolved to set out for the castle of the Golden Sun. When he had travelled around for a long time and had still not found it, he wandered into a great forest and had no idea how to get out of it again. Suddenly he saw 2 giants in the distance beckoning to him, and when he got to them they said, "We're quarrelling over a hat and can't decide which of us is to have it. We're both equally strong, so neither of us can overpower the other. Little people are cleverer than we are, so we want to leave the decision to you." "How can you be quarrelling over an old hat?" asked the young man. "You don't know what's special about it," they said. "It's a wishing hat, and anyone who puts it on can wish himself to any place he likes, and he'll be there in an instant." "Give the hat to me," said the young man. "I'll go on ahead a bit, and then when I call you, you must race towards me, and whichever of you reaches me first shall have it." He put the hat on his head and walked on, but all he could think of was the princess, and he forgot the giants and walked further and further. All at once he heaved a deep sigh and exclaimed, "Oh, if only I were at the castle of the Golden Sun!" And no sooner had he uttered the words than he found himself standing on a high mountain right outside the gate of the castle. He went in and passed through all the rooms, till in the last of them he found the princess. But he was very startled when he saw her, for she had an ashy grey wrinkled face, bleary eyes and red hair. "Are you the princess so famous for her beauty?" he exclaimed. "Alas," she answered, "this is not my true self, though human eyes can only see me in this ugly shape. But so that you may know what I am like, look into this mirror, for I cannot be deceived, and will show you my image as it really is." She handed him the mirror, and in it he saw the image of the most beautiful maiden in the world, and saw too that the tears of sorrow were rolling down her cheeks. "How can you be freed from this spell?" "I will shrink from no danger," she replied. "He who wins the crystal ball and shows it to the enchanter will destroy his power, and I shall return to my true shape. But alas," she added, "many men have already died in this attempt, and you are so young, I feel so sorry for you. You are venturing into great peril." "Nothing can stop me from trying," he said. "But tell me what I must do." "I will tell you everything," said the princess. "At the foot of the mountain on which this castle stands, you will find a wild bull standing by a spring, and you must fight with it. If you succeed in killing it, a fiery bird will rise up out of its body, and inside the bird there is a red-hot egg, and the yolk of that egg is the crystal ball. The bird will not let the egg drop till it is forced to, but if the egg drops on the earth it will burn and destroy everything near it, and the egg itself will melt, and so will the crystal ball, and all your efforts will have been in vain." The young man went down to the spring where the bull stood snorting and bellowing at him. After a long fight he ran it through with his sword, and it fell dead. At once the fiery bird rose up out of its body and tried to fly away. But the eagle, the young man's brother, who was soaring among the clouds, swooped down on it and drove it out to sea, harrying it with its beak until it was forced to drop the egg. But instead of falling into the sea, the egg fell on a fisherman's hut by the shore. At once the hut began to smoke and was about to burst into flames. But just then waves as big as houses rose in the sea and poured over the fire and put it out. The other brother, the whale, had come swimming in and stirred up the water. When the fire was out, the young man looked for the egg and luckily found it. It hadn't melted yet, but being suddenly plunged into cold water had made the hot shell crack, and he was able to remove the crystal ball undamaged. When the young man took it to the enchanter and showed it to him, the enchanter said, "My power is destroyed, and you are now king in the castle of the Golden Sun, and you can give your brothers their human shapes back with it too." So the young man hastened to the princess, and when he entered her room she was standing there in full splendour of her beauty, and they exchanged rings with each other in great joy.